Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo were not typical number nines. Mbappe, not a typical number nine. What you can compare him with is a Lewandowski. I mean, that is fair. Lewandowski of this generation. Benzema, you can take him in there. We talk about the generation. But when we see Harry Kane, when we see Erling Haaland, you just expect him to score goals.
Hi and welcome to the Fußball channel. I'm your host Marcus Fjørtoft, and as always joined by co-host Jan Fjørtoft. And what better person to discuss this as the proven goal scorer you are, that we must say, albeit maybe not at the same level as these guys who are etching themselves into history as two of the greatest goal scorers of all time. We are speaking of Harry Kane and Erling Haaland, and at the weekend they're all setting records. Each week there is a new record to be set. Harry Kane, 40 goals, 35 games in the Bundesliga. He beats the previous record for reaching 40 goals in the league, the quickest, beating Uwe Seeler, who needed 42 games to hit that mark. He had 36 Bundesliga games last season. We thought he was going to beat Robert Lewandowski's record of 41 goals, but a few injuries and what have you. And then you have, of course, Erling Haaland, who has 9 goals in 4 league games, 2 of them including hat-tricks. He has 99 goals in 103 games for Manchester City and is on course to beat Cristiano Ronaldo's record of reaching 100 goals for a team. He needed 105 games to get to 100 goals for Real Madrid. As said, he is currently at 103. He needs 1 more goal. He has the Champions League coming up. He has the Arsenal game, at least, to equal it. I mean, that we're talking of strikers here at a level, and we never thought we could reach these goal-scoring levels after Messi and Ronaldo, but they are getting very, very close to these type of levels that we were so fortunate to have over the last decade and a half.
Well, yeah, that's what football is all about. You think that there won't be any new superstars. I mean, what Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi still doing, by the way, in the Saudi Arabia and in USA, still playing, thank God, because we love to see our the best players play or the biggest stars play. But you always expect, well, after that, nobody will be better than them. And then we tend to forget. You started with Uwe Seeler, superstar in the 60s and 70s in Germany. Then we had Gerd Müller. Then we had Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. Lewandowski, nearly forgotten that he played in Bayern and broke all records. To be fair, he won a lot of more titles than Harry Kane. We'll talk more about that later. And then you have Mbappe, who's going to Real Madrid. Vinicius. You have Erling Haaland. You have Martin Ødegaard. Say for us Norwegians, who have 2 of the best players in the world, being Norwegian makes us very, very proud. But let's start with Harry Kane, because Harry Kane going to Germany, first of all, not a risky, but I love that an English football player, the captain of England, going to another country with his big family, because I want to develop. I want to win titles. He hasn't done that yet, but he probably will soon. Taking him there because to develop his game, scoring goals for fun. And if we say, well, it's easier to score in Germany, well, Harry Kane did the same amount of goals in England. So as did Erling. He scored the same amount of goal in England. And when we see Erling week in and week out, there is an interesting thing, Marcus, to him. I spoke to what shall I say, another striker today, and he said it's quite unbelievable, this thing that, yeah, but he's scoring this thing for Manchester City, the best team in the world. And he said, a bit cheeky, he's scoring the same amount of goals for the worst national team in the world. I said, listen, don't call our team the worst team. Okay, I rephrase. He's scoring the same number of goals for a team that were not at the Euros, meaning that we are not the best national team around. He scored 32 now, 1 goal behind Jørgen Juve, who is the main man in Norway. So, Marcus, 2 of the best striker of a generation, I will say, because what is interesting is Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo were not typical number 9s. Mbappe, not a typical number 9. What you can compare him with is a Lewandowski. I mean, that is fair. Lewandowski of this generation. Benzema, you can take him in there if we talk about the generation. But when we see Harry Kane, when we see Erling Haaland, you just expect him to score goals. A lot of people You will see Holstein Kiel 1, Bayern 6. Then you think, he probably got 2 or 3. Of course, he scored 3. Erling Haaland, we were at the football school, Marcus, and there was this guy come over to me in the middle of a session. He said, Brentford 1-0 up. But after 30 minutes, 2-1 up. But I knew that the next thing he would say, Erling has probably scored 2, as he did. And he nearly scored a hat-trick as well. So 2 amazing athletes, 2 amazing footballers, 2 amazing footballers in terms of attitude to their football game. Obviously, I know Erling better, but you can see that Harry Kane, the same thing, always professional, always a team player, and he's doing it for England. He did it for Tottenham, and he's doing it for Bayern Munich.
Could you explain to us, though, because I think it's important that we talk about sort of the stigma of like, well, they are just goal-scoring machines, and that often gets attributed to Erling Haaland, of course. But we need to, as best possible, break down this art of the goal scoring, right? Because, and it was a rather good article of it in The Athletic as well, where they kind of broke down the skills and the art there was to Erling Haaland's finishing, because we just expect when he gets close to goal and he scores, well, it's like, well, he's close enough to the goal, of course he should score, etc. But is the way in which he gets his first touch, the positioning, in order how he can get it into his stride so he's able to score. And that's what obviously both of them do so well. So that when you see Harry Kane against Holstein Kiel and he gets the ball at the top of the 18-yard box, you're thinking, well, of course he should score. But within that, of course-ism, which I've just coined, there is, I mean, there is a, obviously it's clinical, but there is a such quality to it that cannot be understated. And I think we may take for granted when we just see them in those quote unquote obvious goal scoring situations.
Well, the interesting thing is there are 2 different strikers. They're 2 different. The only common quality they have together is they are fantastic goal scorers, both of them. A typical Erling goal is to, 1, create a space that I can attack. Okay? The ball come in there. There will probably be a duel with a defender, as we saw this weekend against Brentford. Then, as you were saying, put yourself in a position mainly to get it on your left foot, because that is his best foot. So he will kind of get himself in a position that he will use his best tool to do the finishing. Coincidentally enough, 2 of the last goals is that he's chipping the goalkeeper. Why is that art? Yes, because we talked about that before, Marcus. Back in the days, in the 90s, a lot of goalkeepers went down. So you chip the ball over the goalkeeper. I did a lot of those goals because I saw how efficient that was for a Marco van Basten, who was a role model for us guys. Now, then the goalkeeper came in the terms of Oliver Kahn, in the terms of Jens Lehmann. They were standing up, Peter Schmeichel, standing up much longer. Also, sometimes going in a star when they came out. Okay, what does the striker then do? Well, through the legs, that was one thing, or shoot hard next to their feet. So then you had to change your tool now. Now it's quite interesting. The goalkeepers coming out, Marcus, is that they kind of coming out the goalkeeper with 1 foot as a handball keeper going out, and the other guy thing standing on it, kind of going down, so they make themselves wide. What Erling does so fantastic is that he is always at exactly the time when the goalkeeper go down in that position, he chipped the goalkeeper. And that is all about timing. That is a typical Erling Haaland goal. A typical Harry Kane goal, I will say, of the 3 goals, because 1 was a penalty, but the 2 first ones, so typical Harry Kane. Put himself in a position, the ball, he doesn't have to do a Vinicius kind of trick or anything. He just find a space for him to shoot. He's not for the one who go into a room. He's not your counter-attack striker, but still, he is a master of finding a kind of platform for him to make that shoot, or what he's doing all the time. And it's funny, when you see a Harry Kane goal, often you don't see the goalkeeper react, which because Harry Kane decides, he knows where he is, how far he is away from the goal. He also knows the angle. He's perfect in doing that as well. And then he's so accurate. He just put the ball often with his inside. Oh, yes, he can score with his header. Yes, he can score with his volley. They have that in common as well, the two of them. But a typical Harry Kane goal is to create the space for a shot, decide where to put the ball, and 9 of 10 times he put the ball exactly where he wants to. And often that is before the goalkeeper can react, because you have defenders around him. But Harry Kane doesn't matter, because he has decided he's just putting the platform up to shoot from there. So 2 amazing goalkeepers, Marcus.
And just towards the end here, in terms of how we define greatness, obviously they both are great and will be regarded. We touched upon this in the last episode over the international break in terms of Harry Kane reaching 100 games. He's the all-time English top scorer. He will more than likely become England's all-time appearance holder, but is without titles. Erling Haaland, on the other hand, has started his City career in an extraordinary fashion, not both from a personal but also from a collective standpoint in terms of the title City have won. To what degree do we put that into the equation in terms of how we determine who will become the greatest? How do we determine, can we differentiate between the individual brilliance and what the team went on to achieve? How do you see that, and how vital would it be, I guess, for someone like Harry Kane to win titles in order to substantiate him as one of the all-time greats, which he could become in the Bundesliga, but also as among the all-time England greats?
Well, you see how far close it is. He's been a captain of a team that's twice been in the final of an international tournament. If he won one of them, he would have one of the greatest titles, the World Cup and the European Championship, Copa America. But we know what I'm saying. The interesting thing, Marcus, is the definition, because this is a thing that you will discuss at the pub. This is why football is so popular. I always use, and I will use the same phrase again, we have to play at the World Cup if you will be one of the greatest. Well, I played one great World Cup, George Best, Ryan Giggs, none. So I would say they're better than me. And in terms of, very humble today. But in terms of title, I mean, to be the greatest, you have to have a mixture. You have to be a great player in that team, scoring a lot of goals, winning titles. Erling will be at Manchester City. If Harry Kane came to Manchester City, remember, a year before, Pep Guardiola and Manchester City tried to get Harry Kane. Would he have got a lot of titles? Yes, of course he would. But he isn't. But the good news for Harry Kane, he will get titles. He can't end up being 2, 3, 4 years in Germany without winning a title. That doesn't happen in the history of Bayern. Of course, it's so typical that the only year that they haven't won the last 11 years is when he was there, which is his unfortunate. But it's nothing to do with him. That has nothing to do with Harry Kane. In terms of putting them up, well, and Erling, I just want to finish that. Erling pluses. He won the treble the first season he was there. People say, I didn't score the final. They got the treble. They didn't get a treble. They didn't win Champions League before Erling Haaland came there. The second year, he's won the Premier League twice in a row. In a bad season when he was injured, he scored over 30 goals again. So, but to compare them, Marcus, that's basic is hard, because that someone said you have to win a lot of titles, and then you have people who won the title 5 times as Manchester United. You can't remember their names. Will you remember Harry Kane's name after his career? A long time afterwards, you were saying, yes, will be record England international, record England goal scorer before Rooney, before Gary Lineker, before Sir Bobby Charlton, and so on. But we can do that another time to go in a deep analysis. Who are the best players? But still, it will be down to taste, because what kind of striker are you? Brentford coming to Manchester City, trying to play with a high pressure. And Erling, no, wow, fantastic day for me. I will get my space. But he always, when people park the bus, the teams know again, he will get a chance. He will get a cross for De Bruyne or Doku and what they all call. Same for Harry Kane. He is one of the absolutely the best in the world to keep the ball up for you. Then you saw at the Euro sometimes when he didn't look like he was so spritzig, so fit, then he didn't threaten that space behind him. But on the other hand, if Erling played in that role, maybe he would have lost the ball more. So it's all about what the coach wants to have in that position. I think for me, it's the only conclusion they are of this generation. If you add Benzema, Lewandowski, and Marcus, I don't think I forgot anything. They are, the Germans say, Ausnahmesportler. They are exceptional that they are so good as they are. The goal records they're having is fantastic. And people should not come with, yeah, he's doing it for City. Well, he did it for Dortmund. He did it for Salzburg. He did it for Molde. And don't come with Bayern would score more goals and they play Holstein Kiel. Well, he did it for Tottenham, didn't he? And they were, on a good year, they were in the Champions League, but they were not a mid-table, but they were +4 at least. And Harry Kane doing it for England and so on. It's fantastic for an old striker like me to see these players. And I will watch the game and I will just watch the runs. And I've told you about the story of first time I think I saw Erling live in the Champions League when he played Van Dijk as a young kid at Anfield. He got one, he could have 4, and he played 20 minutes or so on. And same with Harry Kane, the way he uses his body, the football brightness, the intelligence of his football is unbelievable. He is a striker, both of them, they understand football. And I think that is the most understatement at the end here, Marcus.
And do let us know what you think in the comments below in terms of who you think is the greatest, as we discussed, and maybe we're a bit diplomatically so, but we can acknowledge the greatness of both of them. And one record that connects them all following this weekend is Harry Kane became the first player to reach 50 Bundesliga goal involvements, doing so in 35 matches, beating Erling Haaland, who needed 42 games. Yes, record-defying, historical as such, and wow. 2 incredible number 9s who will continue to break records and won't be the last that we discuss about them. But for now, Dad, a pleasure to do another episode with you, and we'll be back for Bundesliga roundup and news insights from across the world. And don't forget, please, if you are with us at the end here, to subscribe, like, comment. Anything helps to grow this community. And yeah, very grateful for the ones that are so far.
Thank you. See you soon. More Kane and Haaland goals coming your way.